The Human Torch's powers are on the fritz. Can they find a friend to help them get him back? What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is iRate Reviews, the show where I go over a comic book, its story, its art, give you my impressions, and let you know whether it's something you should go back to the comic book shop for or not. Make sure you subscribe to get more of these every week. The book that I want to talk about right now is Marvel 2-in-1 number 3, which has been one of my favorite books out of Marvel Legacy. Though we are taking a break from Jim Cheung's art this week, we still got a pretty fantastic story that's going to deal with the trials and tribulations of Johnny Storm's Human Torch and Benjamin Grimm's Thing as they try to make their way into the multiverse and find their friend. However, first, they need a little bit of help, so let's see what exactly happens and how that impacts their journey going forward. So the last time that we saw the Thing and the Human Torch, they were picking up the multisect from the scene of the first adventure that Ben Grimm and Reed Richards ever had. However, that is not where we pick up this third issue of Marvel 2-in-1. Instead, we get to focus on the Mad Thinker, who seems to be asking the question that most people in the universe are asking. Where is Reed Richards? Of course, there is another person that's very interested in that, and that is Victor Von Doom showing up in his Iron Man armor. And if you remember inside Infamous Iron Man, he already paid the Thinker a visit once before. But that's about as much as we see from them as we kind of start to follow along with Johnny Storm and Ben Grimm's The Thing as they try to track down a way to resurrect Johnny Storm's powers. Because with him blinking in and out of being able to flame on, he couldn't be really a lot of help when it comes to traveling the multiverse and adventuring. If he's going to be unreliable, it's going to be a big issue for their adventures. Of course, there is one person that really knows about getting their powers back, and that would be Hercules. So they find Hercules at a bar where he's drinking Tony Stark's non-alcoholic ale, and despite the fact that he is one of the greatest storytellers in history, he's going to do something more than just tell them a tall tale. He's going to bring them to the location of where his powers were resurrected. And we get into some sort of crazy Wyoming home on the side of this river that looks fantastic, and all of a sudden somebody opens up the door and it looks like it's almost Ant-Man, and it's the woman from the first issue. So it's really interesting to see that Rashna is here, and she's going to be playing a bigger part in Marvel 2-in-1. She brings him into the house, she goes over everything, what she works on. She works in Empyreumology, which is the study of powers and how they influence and how they interact with the human beings that control them or, host them. Of course, she doesn't just do this for the kindness of her heart. She does it for money, and money is a big factor for the Fantastic Two as they're kind of going on this endeavor. Usually the range for this is somewhere between $250,000 to $750,000, which they really don't have at this point in time. And as Johnny kind of looks at things, he sees somebody. He sees a foe of his, the Hydro Man, who's sitting there getting his powers recharged himself, and that leads to a conflict. He busts out of his containment unit, and all of a sudden he starts sending this water all over the place, ready to drown everyone. And then all of a sudden Johnny kind of comes back to it, and he's flaming on. He accidentally burns Ben Grimm. Hercules is having a hard time. He's trying to punch a puddle, but then all of a sudden Rashna brings out her hand, and then something happens. She's got this some kind of metal coating or artificial nature to her hand. It's a zeptoparticle enhanced artificial hand that gives these people their powers, restores them. And this is kind of like part of her analysis. This is part of her practice. Of course, Hercules is super fun because he's just like, it was a great fun. And Hydra Man's just like, hey, I understand that you're pissed. And she's like, yeah, leave. So she sends him down the toilet, which is kind of funny. That's very much a Chip Zdarsky thing. But the essence of this is that she is really pissed. She's super pissed at these guys and what they had to do, and then how little money they actually have. So she doesn't really feel like helping them because she's not going to get paid. Of course, she does offer them coffee. It's 50 miles down the road in another coffee shop, but Ben Grimm finally pulls out his trump card, which is the multisect. So for somebody, Dr. Rashna, she doesn't believe that the ability to travel between multiverses is real. Of course, Ben Grimm shows her that it is. As she studies this device, she kind of takes a look at it, she understands exactly what's going on, and then she makes a deal with him. She will study and restore the powers as long as they take her with them, so that way she can go into the multiverse herself. Of course, she already knows exactly what's going on because she's been studying the Human Torch and the Thing ever since they came into the building, and it turns out that the Fantastic Four and the members of the Fantastic Four, everybody affected by these cosmic rays, are linked. And the linking of these powers means that there's an associative property to their powers. If they're not close enough to each other, if they're not in close enough proximity, they could possibly lose them. And the Human Torch is just going through them faster. Ben Grimm is losing his powers as well. So what they need to do is they need to hop on the next multi-sect out of this universe and make their way into the grand scheme of the Marvel multiverse and track down Reed and Sue before they lose their powers and lose all hope of these things together. Of course, we don't end the book there because Victor Von Doom is still dealing with the Mad Thinker, is calling him remarkably uncreative, but he's convinced that the Richards gear, the Fantastic Four stuff that Reed Richards invented, was being stolen by the Mad Thinker. And what is his purpose? His purpose isn't necessarily to corrupt or co-opt the technology. It's possibly to replace Reed Richards himself. So, a lot of interesting stuff is going on in Marvel 2 and 1, especially issue number 3, because this looks like we're going to be getting close to traveling into the multiverse. I'm really excited about them traveling into the multiverse, and then this interesting kind of dual storyline with Doctor Doom and the Mad Thinker, and how he's looking to possibly replace Reed Richards inside the Marvel Universe is absolutely insane. Of course, everybody notices that the art has been changed. Jim Chung took a break off of this one, but it looks like he's going to be coming back in future issues, so we can definitely look forward to getting back his characterizations of these folks. But right now, I still think that Marvel 2 and 1 is one of the best books coming out of Marvel Legacy, and I can't wait to read the next issue. It's a book that I constantly recommend to people and something that you should be picking up. But I want to know what you guys think too, so hit me up in the comments down below and we can start that conversation. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows and games, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.